Hi there, I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. Welcome to our Saturday live question and answer class. Feel free to type your questions at any time in the chat and I'll answer them for you live. At the start today, I want to talk a little bit about the T sounds in the middle of words, and specifically when we use what's called an aspirated T sound. So the aspirated T sound, t, means that there's a puff of air released when we say the T sound. This is the sound we use when the letter T starts the word. So in words like take or to or talk, we always have that little puff of air. Some languages, their letter T is an unaspirated T, and they would, for example, in Spanish, they don't release that air, or in a lot of Indian languages and other languages. And so you may be bringing that pattern when you're speaking English. If you're saying the word to, if you don't have that puff of air, it's going to sound more like do. You're not really saying the word do, but to an American listener, they might hear you saying do rather than to, because they can't hear that the noise that the air releasing makes. So being careful to recognize where we use these aspirated T's with the puff of air can be very helpful in being well understood when speaking English, and also in understanding the T sound in the middle of words, which is very complicated. So many times in the middle of words, our T's are going to be flap sounds. For example, in water or Seattle, little, we say something that is called a flap. I've talked about that a lot in a lot of my videos, and of course we'll cover that today as well if you have questions about it. But what I want to focus on is, when do we actually say the T sound in the middle of words? So in British English, it's all the time. Water, better, they often will use that T sound in the middle. In American English, when we use an aspirated T is when the T starts the stressed syllable. What I mean by that is, in a word like attack, tack is stressed, and so it functions just like the word tack, where we have that true T, tack. I should have a puff of air. The letter A says the sound. It's going to be short and unstressed, attack. So you can practice getting your T sounds correct and the rhythm of the word by starting with the stress syllable. For example, saying tack, attack. Same thing with attempt. We have a true T. The stress is on the tempt syllable. So start by saying tempt and then add your unstressed attempt. That's going to get you the rhythm and also that T sound that you need. In a word like hotel, same thing. Even though T-E-L is not a word by itself, I can think about the word tell me about the hotel, and I'm going to be able to remember to use that T sound. Listen to how it would sound if I thought I should use a flap T here instead. It would sound like hodel. You can hear that doesn't sound correct, hotel. We are listening for that T sound to be aspirated when the syllable is stressed. Same thing with guitar. I can try tar, guitar. I'm going to have that T sound, that aspirated T. So this isn't as common as the flap T in the middle of words. It depends on the syllable stress of the word. You can get more help for all of the different things that T says in the beginning, middle, and ends of words in my videos for that. And also in my Sounds of English course, I'll walk you through a lot of details about how we say the T depending on where it comes in the word and where that word comes in terms of the sentence. Makes difference as well. But this is just an accent error pattern that is often quite common for many people, how they make their T sounds in the beginning and the middle of words. So I wanted to give you a little introduction to that idea at the start today. Great. Hi, everybody. Nice to see so many of you here. I'll go ahead and turn to your questions now. So we have a question about the word singing and the sounds of the NG sounds. I do have a video for this word singing where I go into a lot of detail, but let's walk you through the pattern here. So we have two NG sounds in singing. We have first syllable stress, So it starts just like the word sing, with the back of the tongue lifting for that NG. And then we add another I and NG sound, another ing, singing, singing. As I link together, what I have to watch out for is not letting a g sound sneak in there. I don't want singing. I have to be able to release from the ng to the vowel and back to the ng without any g or k sound sneaking in. It can be challenging if you're not used to that, singing, singing. So what you want to feel is that I just lightly drop my tongue away from the ng position where it's lifted in the back to let the vowel through, and then I lift back up. Inging, singing. Same is true for words like ringing, bringing, etc. You can also practice words like singer, where you have the ng sound and then the sound, singer. Not singer, but singer, singer. We do have some words that have the G sound, like finger or hunger. Those have an NG and a G. So this just has and this has both. So singer versus finger. Those can be helpful to highlight those. So I do talk about that in several of my videos and also in my Sounds of English course. You can find a comprehensive list of which ones have and which ones have ng, and that can be helpful. So great question. Thank you so much for bringing up that topic. We have a question about the word environment. I do have a video for this word as well. Environment. So the trouble here is it looks like environment, but we often will say this as sorry, no R yet. Environment. So we kind of change where we put the R sound. Stress on environment. Yeah, I think you can say also environment, but you'll often hear environment from American speakers. After class, I'll put a link to my video for environment. I talk about that in a little bit more detail since it's kind of a complicated word. You can also, if you're on the channel page at Speech Modification, use the search box right there on the channel page in your browser, and you can find any words that I've covered. You can see my videos for that. Also, when you leave comments on any of my videos, I can give you the direct link to go to a video with more details that answers your questions. Thanks for bringing that up. That's definitely a tough word. Okay, we have a question about the words leprechaun and conduit. I do think I have a video for leprechaun as well. So for leprechaun, it doesn't really match the spelling too well. First syllable stress. We do have the red tent vowel there. And then this letter E says the sound. So I have lepra. And then CH says the k sound in this word. Leprechaun, the AU says an vowel, which is not typical. That you would think that might be an ow vowel. So leprechaun. And then your other word was conduit. So a conduit has first syllable stress, which means my letters C-O-N are going to say the con sounds. I'll rewrite that here for you with an AH. So conduit, do it. This is a DU that says just the oo sound. Do, conduit. And then as we link and move from that rounded oo into the do it, we can have a little bit of a y sound in there. I don't need to put any extra in. I don't need not a y, but a w sound, sorry, because it's rounded. Do it. I don't need a strong w there. I just naturally, as I link from vowel to vowel, should feel that I have kind of that W glide happening with do it, conduit. Yeah, okay, great word. Thank you for that request. Let's see. We also have a question about pronouncing logging in. Logging in. So back to our NG sounds as we're linking these together. Just like singing, logging in, I'm going to naturally link between these two. My first, in logging, I'll have the the rounded ah vowel. It's kind of like the word law. Some people will say this more like logging in with an ah vowel. There's, as you know, probably not a lot of distinction in some areas of the country between the ah that's rounded and the ah that's unrounded. But I would use the ah here. La, and then logging in, and it links together. Logging in. Also to note, in a phrase like logging in, we actually have stress on the in. So with phrasal verbs like logging out, logging in, hanging out, hanging in there, normally the verb is stressed and it's the most important part. But in a phrase where the verb contains also a preposition, a phrasal verb, we need stress on the preposition to highlight the difference between logging in and logging out. If I'm just saying he's logging, like that means cutting down trees, he's in the woods logging, then logging is going to be stressed. And in is usually in or out or on. Those are usually unstressed and unimportant. In these particular contexts, though, logging in, you want more length and stress on the in than on the logging. Not logging in, he's logging in, but he's logging in. Okay, so hopefully in that lengthy explanation I covered your question about logging in, but it's useful to bring up some of those details because sometimes it's pronunciation, the sounds in the word that are causing a problem for being understood, and sometimes also it's the rhythm and the stress patterns. Okay. We have a question about the word approximately. And we also have someone who's typed Y. I don't know if you're asking about the pronunciation of Y or if you have a question, let me know. So for approximately, I think the challenge here is with any longer word, getting the rhythm correct and then also understanding the vowel sounds, because there's a lot of reduced vowels in this word. So the stress is on the ox syllable, approximately, and so that's where we have our clear vowel pra. Then our first letter A is going to be a schwa, so it's unstressed, so it sounds like a. So we have approximately. So we do have a clear E vowel. Otherwise, we have reduced and I vowels throughout this word. So approx. The X says x in this word, approx. I'm going to break it here, though, just to make it easier to pronounce. Approximately. And so why I wrote that little stop before that T there is that I don't say approximately. I don't release that T. Unlike in hotel or attack with those release T's, here in the middle I'm using an unreleased T or a stop T because I'm going to go right to that L of the li, approximately. Yeah, you can get more help for stop T's as well in my playlist, but hopefully that helps you with approximately. Re-envisioning it with this spelling for the vowel sounds or also looking at the IPA can be very helpful. With something like approximately as well, you might want to break it down by starting on the stress syllable and get the rhythm that way. That would sound like approximately. You can also go slowly and speed back up. Approximately. And then do try to practice it in some short phrases, because what you'll find is that even when you master the word by itself, then you're going to talk to use it, and you may still stumble, or you may revert back to an older pronunciation. So I might say it's approximately 4 miles away. I'll be there at approximately 10, etc. Making sure that you kind of use it, get comfortable with that new pronunciation in phrases, in sentences, so that when you go to use it in conversation, it comes out smoothly. Okay, thank you. That's a great word. Thank you for that request. We have a request about the word forfeit and whether the R is silent. So no, in forfeit, we do say it just like in the word for. He's going for forfeit. There were 4 forfeits in the tournament. So using your true or and first syllable stress. What's different here is that the EI just says the I sound. So thinking about forfeit. And this I is very short, forfeit, fit. We're going to go very quickly from the f to the t. Not a lot of vowel there, so a reduced sound, forfeit. Yes, really, there are very few cases where in American English we don't say the R. Whenever there's an R in a word, 99.9% of the time, you're going to be pronouncing that R sound. There's a few rare exceptions, but in American English, it's very typical that we never drop the R. Okay. We have a question about the word genre. So I do also have a video for this. A lot of popular words today. These are challenging words, so I'm glad you're bringing them up. So in the word genre, comes from the French, and so typically the letter G in English would say the G or the J sounds, but in genre it says the J sound. We don't have a consistent way of spelling the J. We usually spell it with an S or sometimes with a G, depending on the word. I like to think about a word like visual or measure. The letter S, U in these words says the J sound. It's just like the sounds made by the letters SH, the sh, except my voice is on. So my mouth is in the same position between sh and j. It's just as I'm saying j in genre, I need that mouth shape, and then my voice needs to be on. I usually rewrite it with ZH just to think of the SH and ZH, but again, we don't really write ZH, that combination in English. But if I put an S there, that's not going to help you. Then letter E in genre is an ah sound. So the IPA would be the j sound, the ah sound, the n sound, and then r with a schwa. So thinking about it like genre and first syllable stress, genre. Yeah, not easy. And not exactly the same as the French, but comes from the French and pretty close. Okay. Question about whether I pronounce these words with 2 or 3 syllables. Natural and severance. So for natural, I would say either 2 or 3 syllables. You can do natural. You can also do natural, where rather than earl, it just becomes trull, natural. I think it's more natural to do all 3. It's just that this is very, very reduced, very quick. It's almost like it just goes right into one syllable. The earl, natural. The earl is very fast. Versus with severance, maybe same thing. I think you can say severance, but people will often say severance. So sometimes when we have the in the middle, we drop the syllable of it, and we make it into 2 syllables. Severance. Natural. It's just because that is very quick. It doesn't really get a lot of length. So it's a little bit in between. You can do either 2 or 3. What you don't want is natural or severance. You want to have a lot of length on the stressed syllable and then be really fast and reduced, regardless of if you do 1 or 2 syllables on the unstressed syllables. So it'll sound natural. If you use na being long and churl being fast, either reduced down to 1 syllable or just 2 very fast syllables. Great question. I do have a lesson on my website and a couple of videos about longer words where people sometimes will add extra syllables because of how they're spelled, and they really are only correct without those syllables. And then there's some that can go either way, like the ones that you mentioned. Okay, wonderful questions. Thanks so much, everyone, for being a part of class today. I will be back next week with our live question and answer, and of course, tomorrow and each day next week with our words of the day. If you have a request and you're watching this not live, you can leave a comment on this video or any of my videos, and I can add your list to be covered in a future Word of the Day class. Get more help for all of these sounds of English in our Sounds of English course on speechmodification.com. And of course, thank you so much for watching this video, for sharing, commenting, liking, and subscribing. It's been really fun to see how much your participation is helping the channel to grow, and I truly appreciate all of your support. Thanks so much for a great class today and your great questions, and I look forward to seeing you in future classes. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. speechmodification.com. Bye, everyone. Hope to see you again soon.